What's going on, guys? Want to welcome you back. It's that time again. Season 2 is right around the corner, and it's time for us to say goodbye to Season 1 1.5 with one final tier list. It's been a pretty chaotic season, if I say so myself, and this is our way of sunsetting what has been a hell of a ride of a meta in the game. Now, throughout this 3-month season, we've seen heroes rise to must-ban status, whereas others are just sitting in the hero select menu wondering why they even bothered showing up at all. And no, I'm not going to pick you. I'm avoiding you as a teammate. Now, if you're new around here, allow me to break down what we do. We rank every hero in the game, not once, but twice. Why? Because skill matters, damn it. We've got a low elo list for bronze to diamond rank, where chaos reigns and strategies go to die, and a high elo list, obviously diamond and above. You know, for the big leagues. Now, before we jump in, guys, a couple of ground rules. First of all, so it's not me just yelling at the screen, I've tried to collaborate with who I consider some of the best players within Rivals to get their opinions, combine that with win percentage stats, me going through the trenches of high elo myself, and then casting over the Marvel Rival Invitational and the top of the scene there with the Marvel Rival Championship. And number 2, guys, this is obviously an opinion at the end of the day. If you're amazing with one of the heroes that are ranked low, awesome. We're proud of you, right? You do you. Congratulations. Just have fun. That's the ultimate goal of gaming, right? And finally, guys, point number 3, most important. It's a two-parter. Number 1 of point 3, this is confusing now, is Marvel Rivals is very much a lot of heroes are overpowered kind of game. That's the flavor of it. That's the fun. They're superheroes after all. So this isn't your typical tier list where it's a perfect bell curve. You're going to have a lot towards the top, right? Because that's the game. And the second point to that is subscribe, because we're almost at 100,000 subs. I never say this at the beginning of the video, but it would be pretty damn cool. Let's jump in. As always, A to Z, we start with Adam Warlock, the Golden God, and I've got him in A tier for high elo and C tier for low elo, and I'm going to explain why. First of all, Adam's passive and his team up ability is the probably most broken thing within the game. He's actually close to S tier at the top elo. I think, you know, some of the lower end of high elo, if that makes sense, is keeping him down a bit. Heck, if Hela gets banned, we're seeing people that play Hela go to Adam because of his damage, and he has the highest uptick in play rate that we've seen just about from any hero season to season. On top of that, he's just great in triple support comps. His burst healing allows you to survive dive and just a ton of other team lineups. And his overall cooldowns have become a bit easier to manage, learn. Soul Bond is obviously a great ability. The guy is great. But with great power comes great responsibility. He's not Spider-Man, but you might as well treat him as it, because in low elo, all of the things that make him great make him bad, right? All these important cooldowns, you just don't see people play as well. And typically in low elo, you need a bit of an easier hero to guide your way through the chaos that is. And so because of all that, it doesn't matter how good he is, he's going to be ranked low. The res is obviously great. He's even better in domination maps. If you play with, you know, a couple of friends, the triple Star-Lord, Mantis, and Atom comp is the best in the game by a far margin, and most of the pros want it banned ASAP. I mean, Bucky Barnes, if he wasn't there, it could be really hard to handle the triple res comp, because you have to handle multiple lives, way more aggression on these heroes. And again, it allows teams to play differently because it doesn't matter as much. You pretty much get a free BRB device from Rocket Raccoon for 3 different heroes. Very good one. A tier, again, top of the top A tier in high elo, and C tier for low. All right, so next up is Black Panther, and I think this is going to piss a lot of people off. And it's just, unfortunately, it's the truth of what is the meta right now. I want to talk about some heroes that we're going to talk about today are good heroes in the wrong meta. And I think Black Panther is a little bit of both. First of all, there's just other heroes that do his job well. Obviously, if you're on amphetamines and you're going crazy with the button mashing and mouse clicking, you can still just wipe teams and he does his job. But the nerfs that he received in previous seasons has just tamed the Panther almost fully. And I've got him low ranked for both. You don't see him at all in pro play. I did not cast him one time in there. And then you don't even see him in Diamond, Grandmaster, and above that often. You've got the one tricks and whatnot, but I have to put him in C tier, and I'm going to put him there for both ranks. I don't think he's D tier in either. You know, he can still do what he does, but oftentimes people joke that he's like the tickle monster. Like he does a lot of little damage, but most of the time, again, other dive heroes do his job that much better. And I'm saying this because I want him to get buffed up just a small bit. I think that he's a great hero to have, a really fun one to watch. But this is just not his season. It's not working out. You might be great at him. You probably are. But for the rest of the people, the majority, I've got him in C tier. That leads us to Black Widow. And guys, I laugh because, you know, I do this in alphabetical order. And every time it's just always, you know, unfortunately, if your name begins with the beginning of the alphabet, you're pretty bad in this game for the most part. Black Widow has seen so much adjustment, right? They damn near doubled her magazine size. They've made a lot of adjustments. We've seen sometimes pros pick her to like open up the very beginning of a map to get a little bit of snipes in there. But the majority of the time, Black Widow, statistically, and you don't even need statistics to feel like, she makes almost no impact a lot of the time. And now you can be great with Black Widow and nail headshots and do what you do great. But overall, as I've said before, you'd rather just have that on another hero. I mean, for the most part, that skill put into her is going to go much further than if you just put it on somebody else. I've got her in D tier for high elo because I think obviously there's a bit more consistent and great Natashas out there. F tier for low elo. I think it's a complete throw pick. If you're just there's just no way you can rise up to the skill level. You also just have such like a melee in your face dive meta. You've got Thing just constantly. You just don't have the room as well. So there's less shields right now, which is great for her, but ultimately not good because there's just constant pressure in her face. It's just a tough time adapting to it. Next up, Captain America. And I'm going to be honest, guys, I thought to begin the season, we were kind of dive heavy. It was looking like he was going to trend up. He got some nice buffs, multiple buffs at that. This is the hero I'm talking about that is a good hero in the wrong meta. I actually don't think he needs a lot more tuned up. His kit's fine. His survivability, as we've talked about, really good, consistent, great to stall and do what he does well. The meta just doesn't complement him. And if we're in this kind of like dive meta in the future, I think he's going to be just fine. This just isn't his moment to shine. That being said, we see constantly that high survival heroes and in your face, like, what do I do about it? Thrive insanely well in low elo. I think he's actually, and statistically, you can see A tier in low elo. To what I just said, he's great in low elo. Very much a nuisance. People don't know how to deal with him at all and communicate. And he can just like almost 1v5 points at times. But in high elo, I've got him at C tier. Situational most times. Again, just doesn't fit the scene. He was not played at all in any of the stuff I've watched, casted. Even at top level, still not played all that much. I think he needs some small micro maybe adjustments. But for the most part, it's just not his time to shine. Next up, we've got Bruce Banner to end the season. And I don't think anybody thought when we began the season he was going to end up where he's at. But unfortunately, he's going down. Bruce is, out of all of the dive in your face tanks, which there's not a lot of them, but out of them, his job is done better by the others. A Venom thing, whatnot. I'm not saying he's terrible, but he's definitely utilized way less than those. And there's so many different lineups of tanks and combos of tanks that you want to utilize outside of the Hulk. You know, there's just not enough reward most of the time for what he does. The CC's insane. You go in there and nobody's afraid of what they should be afraid of, and that's the Green Giant, right? Like, you should be fearful of him in the backline, and you're just not as much compared to the other heroes right now in Rivals. I've always been a Hulk fan. I think he's awesome for the game. Right now, though, this is not his time to shine. Hell, I love Hogs. I'm going to shout you out, buddy. One of the better Vanguard players, in my opinion. But he's struggling right now, even in pro play, because he is a Hulk, you know, just truther and purist. And Hulk is not doing well right now for him even. So B tier for Hulk in high elo. I think, again, he's towards the top of B tier, but B tier for him. And then low elo is C tier. And that's, you know, mainly due to just having the Gamma team up is still strong with Doctor Strange. But, you know, your player's going to be even worse in low elo. And just most dive tanks in general in low elo are bad because just knowing when to escape and having your team follow up on the dive, everything to do with Hulk and what he does best, does not thrive at low elo. So I've got him ranked at C. It could probably be lower. Cloak and Dagger. I just now am noticing that all of my hot takes are at the very beginning, and this is crazy. Okay, so Cloak and Dagger is not going to make sense until we get to the other supports. But unfortunately, strategists, supports in general got hit with a ton the last couple of seasons, right? All their ults have been increased massively, but Cloak and Dagger specifically, they had their ult just slashed completely. And if we look at all the other options at strategists, we still see some Cloak and Dagger play in the pro scene. And by the way, high elo is not just pro scene. Diamond Grandmaster, that has a ton of weight to it, obviously, but do want to talk about You know, we saw a little bit of that there. They have some things going. Their escape is okay, right? And they have consistent, you know, single kind of target heals, which is nice. But ultimately, they're just kind of, they're below the rest. And it's mainly because of their ultimate just not having what it did have once before. And I'm going to put it at the very, very, very top of B tier. And honestly, I had them in A, if I'm going to be honest about it, in high elo. But several people said you got to take it down at least one. So I'm going to respond to them. I'm going to respect them. And you, again, most of the time just want different combinations. You can't ban all the strategists. And so there's going to be more than 2 left over that you would rather pair up. Then Cloak and Dagger at high level play. Low level play, though, this is crazy. I think they're S tier. Funny enough, in low level healing and support play, you want consistency and brain off mentality, and they're one of the best. You could turn your brain completely off, leave it at the door, go half asleep, and you're going to get phenomenal healing from Cloak and Dagger. And so that's what makes them great. And then on the, you know, Cloak side, the auto aim damage can also just carry. So it's funny. This is one of those mechanical heroes that are rewarded heavily for how easy they are to play in low elo. So fantastic there. But in high elo, again, skill matters, and that's why there's a bit of a difference here. B tier. Next up is Doctor Strange, and this is a hero that has received now nerfs almost every patch, right? Like, they have decimated what he once was. And is he starting to slip? And the answer is kind of, but also not because of just the nerfs, and it's because of the rise of some other heroes. Now, in low elo, he is S tier for sure, no question. Because, well, let's just get to it. Invisible Woman and the nerfs combined kind of took everything against him, right? So you have the rise of the Thing and melee pressure, but on top of that, he's worse, just, you know, his health pool and all the way around. And then on top of that, Invisible Woman and the push ability, able to get rid of his Agamotto and his pressure a lot of the time, is just so bad for the hero. Now, Invisible Woman is played very poorly at low elo, so he's still doing what he does best. You should never solo tank in this game. Good God, it's a miserable experience. But when you see it the most is lower elos from bronze to plat, right? There's one person tanking, and he could be an okay solo tank if you have to. His damage is great, though. His AoE is still a good presence. I think Strange can carry lobbies, and we're always going to see him played a ton at pro play because of a couple of reasons. His Agamotto is still one of the best setup abilities in the game, and what makes a Vanguard great is to be able to combo and get team wipes, so check there. And number 2, most importantly, is the portal is so OP, and it allows you to have, you know, that extra attempt on DOM maps and on convergence and all the great stuff. So with all that being said, I love Strange. I think he's at the very pinnacle top of A tier, but he can't be looked at the same as the S tier tanks, and then in low elo S tier. Moving right along, we go to Groot, who I think is probably the best Vanguard in the game right now by a good amount. Definitely in high elo. If not, he's like the 1B to the 1A. Groot can do everything you want right now with the tank. The walls are great for shutting off strategists, separating teams. They can't heal, you know, getting the tank isolated and getting rid of them. So you've got all that kind of micro play, you know, for a high elo player. But then on top of that, his ultimate is one of the best combo setups in the game. It can eliminate through any strategist ult for the most part, so you can combine this. And we saw this combined with Namor and with Bucky and any hero that has a lot of high elimination potential. We saw that a little bit last season, more with Moon Knight, but this time, this is the main meta. And most of the pro players said, if you're not playing Groot, and if he's not banned, he's being banned a lot now, you're throwing. He's just too good at what he does. He has more specific comps. He has some heavy counters. Obviously, Wolverine just completely slices him up, but a very good hero. He's S tier, obviously, in high elo. Low elo, though, he's C tier. And I know, how is that possible? Groot played poorly is so bad. The walls are so important on how you play this character and how you're able to steamroll and get separation and get, you know, clutch heals and good damage out there and ultimates and communication and keeping yourself alive. All of that is taken away when you go to low elo for the most part. Sadly, Groot is just unable to do what he does down there as much. And so I think C might be a little harsh. Maybe it could be B, but ultimately I have, you know, people that I've talked to that are down in silver and more. And they're like, there's nothing worse than a bad Groot. Mainly the things he does great are things that you look for in high elo and definitely pro play. So right now, if you're not playing Groot, go play him. I think he's probably going to get an adjustment in season 2, but we're going to have to see. All right, Hawkeye, we're going to be quick here, but he did get a nice leap from really a horrible balance about a season ago, a patch ago. They took him and Hela to the ground, or at least they tried to with Hela. Hawkeye, though, is not like Black Widow in the sense of his damage output and kind of one-tap potential, especially through support ultimates and doing what he does best, right? With all the shields being down, Magneto, Doctor Strange, he has so much more room to get that heavy damage in, to get tanks down. That being said, a lot of that is like Celestial, Eternity, and a lot of Diamond and Grandmaster at high elo, right? I've got him in A tier. Pro play, we almost didn't see him at all. Actually, we didn't see him at all except one time, and that team got steamrolled. So you don't see him at the top end of play, but again, we look at everything here in high elo. Still good. I think he's great and obviously a very solid hero all the way around. Ultimate, you have to respect, all that good stuff. Low elo, we're going to go with C tier. Again, not all these are going to be a big gap difference because of skill involved, but Hawkeye is going to be a little bit of a subject to that. Mainly too because of his ultimate and his synergy with team ups, and Black Widow is not the same as someone like Hela, right? If you look at two of these players and how they play the game. So A tier and C tier, which funny enough takes us to Hela, and this was definitely in top play the difference maker. Oftentimes whoever has the better Hela is going to win. We saw the best of the best Hela play. It was awesome to see. But even all the way down in, I don't care, silver rank and above, it doesn't matter. Hela and just the presence and damage output she has is still absolutely insane. She's great at long distance, medium, short range, stupid good team ups. Her ultimate is very threatening and, commands a presence about her. And she's just like the DPS pick, right? The sweat pick. She's great and she does everything well. And so S tier for both. I really don't care at low elo that maybe you need to aim a bit more because you're going to hit your shots. She does plenty. Shield meta's down, which makes her stocks go even higher up. And it's so cool to see because oftentimes you would see like team fights 5v5 and then the Helas are going for the flank or for like the side angle and they run into the other Hela. Then they have a battle and whoever wins that wins the team fight because then the other Hela can just get the elimination. So it's fun to see her, at this level. I don't know if they end up taming her. As heroes come out, she could get better, worse. We'll have to see. But right now, S tier for both. Human Torch. They did try to buff him, but I think it was more of a band-aid fix. He's D tier for both, and I wanted to put him higher. Maybe C tier for high elo, but I'm going to stick with D tier for both. Something just feels off about him. And like opposed to, first of all, flyers in general, we just talked about Hela, Hawkeye, and friends. They are in the wrong meta. So it's not just them as characters. Right now, who's being banned and what's being played. That's what's kind of wrong with them. But on top of that, if I'm like in a domination match or on a point and I've got a Storm, Iron Man above me, I typically have to respect them a good amount, right? And look for the spacing and them messing with my supports or whatever it might be. Human Torch, though, Johnny Storm, dude, I'm telling you, I don't care that he's up there most of the time. It just kind of feels like he tickles you, like he doesn't do a lot. And we've seen him a little bit here and there. And not actually, no, we haven't. I haven't seen him much at all in the pro play. And even down in Diamond Grandmaster, not seeing him there. The Band-Aid fix wasn't enough. I expect him in Season 2 to get a much better fix. I don't know if it's for his mobility or what they're going to, look for in his damage. It's a character you have to be careful with. You can't get him too crazy, but right now it's not it. Invisible Woman, Sue Storm is, wow, what a hero to come out and just make a big difference right away. They say jack of all trades. She's the Jill of all trades. There's so much going on with her kit that makes her great. She's borderline the best, if not the second best, in my opinion, strategist right now in the game at high level. First of all, she's S tier, no question, high elo, and low elo, she's A tier. Very heavy on mechanics, so that's why she's going to go down a bit. But even with the struggles of learning what she can do with a high skill ceiling, she still has so much going for her, it doesn't matter. Now, if you perfect her in what she does great, she could put shields on clutch moments, right? We've seen shields on a Star-Lord that's doing legendary and tracking with them or protecting your Hela as they go for the flank or Spider-Man. So you have all of that great stuff while getting heals out. She has an ultimate that's arguably one of the best. It slows. You can do it at a range, so you don't have to be in harm's distance. That's what makes it so great. And then her push away. You can push Wolverine's away. Push Agamotto's people off points and use for environment, eliminations. There's so much going on with Sue. And then on top of that, she's hard to kill. She can go invisible. She's great. I don't even think they're going to adjust her that much. One of the best in the game by far and a must pick in most levels of play. Iron Fist. Damn it. I don't know, guys. Here's the thing. I always want to rank him lower, right? Like, when I see him, his impact most times. And then I just get the complete garbage kicked out of me by an Iron Fist. And it reminds me of the respect I should have. They kind of changed his identity, and I don't like what they do. If they could tame a little bit of his numbers, it makes more sense. I'm going to go with C tier only because I'm fresh off of like 10 games getting my butt handed to me, and there are times where Iron Fist can deliver fully. If Bucky gets banned, he's so much better, but obviously Winter Soldier and his presence is able to shut him down pretty easily. But a good Iron Fist can be really annoying, but not so annoying. Like, he's more of that kind of Black Panther level, in my opinion, right now. I think he actually could be a little bit above there. So Iron Fist, Ultimate's not that great either, but because of the survivability and the constant, barrage and the potential of him, I'm going to have him in C. And then he's also now, with just the way that he's played, he's kind of easy to utilize a bit more in low elo too, and more of a nuisance. So that's why he's going to be C tier for both. All right, next up is Iron Man, guys. Tony Stark. Where do I've got this guy? Again, meta not favorable to him right now. He's much more independent. He doesn't need Hulk's team up as much. There was a very nice change that they had to him in the most recent patch. I think he's probably fine as a hero. Just right now, how things are, like, that's probably what's hurting him the most. I have him in B tier for both. I feel like that's about where he's at, right? In low elo, he can do a lot, and he's a lot more of a pest and annoying, and people don't deal with him as well. And it's oftentimes, if you're in low elo, you probably lose because no one was paying attention to the Iron Fist. And if you have a Hela, they weren't getting the whatever, right? In high elo, he doesn't have he's just not picked that much. And when he is, he can do okay things. He's typically picked in that Gamma team up, which is not banned as much anymore too. So you got that going for you. But he just isn't settling perfectly in comparison to the other duelists and the threat that they bring at a high elo. So it's not so much him again as it is just where everything's at right now in the game. So it's that time of the tier list again. We talk about Satan's greatest soldier, right? Jeff. Where do I have him? You know what? I think it's kind of, we're done with the memes that he's bad, right? At this point, we saw him in the grand finals, right? Jeff came out, did just insane, chilling charisma. Luna's team up with him makes Jeff a legit threat in the DPS department on a very good player. Usually, almost always, you need triple support to make that work, right? Always, actually, because then it allows him to do what he does great. Typically, Adam's gonna be better in that slot, so he's not like insane. I've got him B tier for high elo. The respect's there. The ultimate, the healing is just fine. Oh man, he's such a pest. And I think he's actually pretty damn good. At high elo, B tier confidently, actually. I feel like that. Crazy to see. He's probably lower B tier. Cloak is a better pick. But Jeff has his uses. In low elo, he's D tier. I'm going to have him a bit below because of, again, there is a lot of mechanics around him. Yeah, you could get like the full team, eat ups and stuff. And so that's nice. But for the most part, a lot of the top level play is for the higher level players here. And it's just safer to go with much easier picks. You're not going to have triple strategists all that much down low. So Jeff is going to be a little bit lower, but still great. All right, so we've got Loki, who is one of the most stressful strategists to play. And you know what? I pride myself for being on the Loki train since beta. Yeah, I've liked him always, and I'm glad he's finally obviously just recognized by everybody else for how cracked he is. He can do it all. You can play Assassin Loki. You can continue just to be a pest. But it all comes down to a couple of things. First of all, he's S tier for high elo. I've got him B tier for low elo. There's a gap on some of the ability usage there and what he can bring to the table, and the knowledge of being able to upkeep so many important cooldowns and precision, and honestly being one of the shot callers and leaders of the team. Loki is very important role in the game. He is a must ban in a triple Vanguard. You heard that right. Triple Vanguard is getting plenty of play at the top level, and he helps support that engine so much. His healing is fantastic. But his lanterns, crystals, rune stones, whatever you want to call them, that is still the best ability in the game. It allows you to survive everything from a Groot ult to Star-Lord to... I can keep going. Every single ultimate in the game, it allows you to keep going on. Really, the only negative thing about him is that Winter Soldier can, you know, obviously use his clones to his advantage and just kind of steamroll and do some nice things. Loki was picked in every single pro play match for the most part, and if he wasn't, he was the most banned. So either way, high level play, and the kind of the sky's the limit for how good he is and what he can provide. You have 3 ways to escape and never die. So top tier here, and I'm gonna. Man, I want to change my mind and put him in A even for low elo, but I think because of what you need to learn, I've got him in B. Okay, so Luna Snow's next up, and not much has ever changed with her as we've done these tier lists. She's S tier for both. The K-pop drop, they have kind of kept the queen where she's at since the game has come out. It's constantly Coachella out there every single day. It's a concert. There's dance floors happening. The fate of both worlds. The ultimate's cracked. It's been cracked. And mainly, people are getting so good at the damage swap. So it's always healing, right? But then you can combine her. We saw this a lot. It was one of the most used combos. You've got the setup tank, which is, let's say, Groot, the Thing, whatever. You've got Luna, who's healing the team, which is getting the other people's ultimates up, like the Thing. And then you swap over to damage for a quick second as you throw a giant whale with Namor or whatever, the team up combo is, and you get team wipes. Luna is just so, it's just the heal bot of the game, right? She spits out so much healing. It's insane. She has good self-survivability. The freeze is important a lot of the times as well. So there's nothing missing on her. Snowflake enables flankers and constant source of healing for those that are hard to reach. If you're in low elo, S tier for both. Next. Okay, so for the next one, this one hurts me a little bit. And I was kind of forced and feel forced to rank her lower than where I have her. And this is, again, kind of a definition of what Captain America is in the sense of Magik just doesn't exactly work right now. There's better options. And it's just not her time to shine. It's crazy that I saw collectively 40, 50 hours of play in top level and more than that between Grandmaster and onward down. There's no Magik. Magik's just not being played that much. And if she is, she's not that much of a nuisance. She's still pretty damn good in low elo. And let this be said, by the way, Black Panther, all the dive characters, the high ceiling characters are S+ tier if you're smurfing in low elo, because you can obviously just carry with these heroes, but that play's not normal, right? Magik is A tier and low, and I'm going to go the very tip top of B and high. And it pains me to say because I think she's great. And I think that statistically she's pretty good. But it's just not working right now at the moment with what everything else is kind of thrown at her. Her team-up ability is nice with Psylocke and with Black Panther. That's good for her. And her ultimate got touched up a tad. Expect her to rise up next season. It's not going to take much, just a little bit of flavor and meta change. Next up is Magneto, and we're going to keep this short and pretty simple. One of the best tanks, right? If not the best. I think he's the other one outside of Groot responsible for being the top tank in the game. S tier, easy for the top elo, and I've got him A tier for low elo. A little bit about just his management of abilities and his ult usage and kind of how that's utilized is just a notch below. I think Strange is actually easier to play in low elo. Magneto, though, is clearly, I think he's 60% play at Diamond and up. I mean, just always picked. They try to nerf his survivability a little bit, and Eric doesn't give a damn. His ultimate is used defensively against the best projectile ults in the game, like Star-Lord. We see that all the time in top-level play to counter them, to stop them. And he's kind of got it all. He is very hard to take down. His survivability is through the roof. Now that he's got the 1-2-1 punch, he can, completely erase 250 health heroes. There's nothing he doesn't do fantastic. He's awesome. He is Mr. Fantastic, actually. He takes the role from him. On top of all this, by the way, he is also just like always included in some sort of the pick, right, of the top tanks. If you pick 2 tanks, he's usually one of them, and he's great against Wolverine, and he enables Dive and Venom and Spider, whatever. Great hero. Okay, moving on, we have Mantis, and Mantis is a tricky one to always place because I feel like she's so good as the second healer for the team, right? Because she's able to keep your other strategists afloat. You've got the sleep for insane protection. Her damage boost up on duelists is fantastic. She has obviously the passive with Adam, making her even better. Again, triple res comp, best in the game. I've got her really good and solid. We saw a ton of her played, obviously with triple res, but even outside of that at times. in top level play. I've got her in A, probably lower A, but A tier for high elo. She rewards mechanical skill the most because of the way that her kind of reset system works with the healing and the damage up. And you can, like, you know, kind of step up to be the MVP yourself and give yourself a damage boost. So A tier for high, B tier for low, because all those things are going to go down just a tad in low elo on top of Adam being way down. I could probably drop her even lower, but B tier because she still does so much well. All right, Mr. Fantastic is not changing at all from last tier list. I've got him really high in low elo. He's very hard to kill. He's amazing duelist. He hits that hybrid role perfectly because he can hit it perfectly in low elo. In high elo, it feels like he's not good at anything. Not duelist, not tank. He can't commit to one role, and ultimately is just not good. And then he doesn't even have an ultimate to make up for it, right? So them messing up the cooldown to get into tank mode a lot more and just like have him do what he does best and have that momentum swing that he's supposed to have is gone, really. And so he's F tier. I have him as the worst hero right now, probably within rivals in high elo. Never see him, not a good hero, and it's unfortunate. And then A tier for low elo because, again, you could be a bully. All right, so Moon Knight, Khonshu must have just completely stripped him from his powers from last season. This is like such a fall from grace. It's so sad. I love playing this hero. He's so fun. One of the ones I've got a Lord icon. He's great. You know, low elo, I've got him in B tier because there's a lot of group up potential and people don't deal with the onks as much. But man, he just is not good anymore. Damn. I mean, he's just struggling with like schizophrenia to the fullest degree in high elo. You can punish him so bad with any of the other good duelists once he's out of his onk. The onk goes away immediately. You know, he could tickle you a little bit, but the team's going to keep themselves alive. His ultimate was stripped from the potential that it had, and it just doesn't even... They can't return it to what it was, but they also have to find a middle ground because it's not there right now. He's got, I think, statistically the worst numbers at every single rank, right? And I'd even use stats as the heavy weight here for a lot of these picks, but it doesn't help Moon Knight's case. He's situational. There are a couple times you can potentially use him. We saw him exactly once in any type of tournament play, and even there... they got decimated with it. I think it was amazing wanting to go back to what he loved, and it just, man, that lover didn't love him back. So, Moon Knight struggling big. I expect him to get some love, potentially, maybe, and his team up is still dog water. All right, Namor is always a tough one to place for a couple of reasons. Really, at low level play, he's S tier no matter what. Luna, no Luna, those turrets help way too much. You're able to just get consistent damage on top of a good ultimate, survivability, and a self-sustaining kit. He's great, S tier. High elo, I've got him in S tier. Yeah, we saw him as the most picked duelist outside of Hela and Bucky, especially for combo setups and what he brings to the table, and domination. Almost always picked in domination maps. If you don't have Luna, he goes down to, I don't even know what down, maybe like A, could be even high B, probably A, in high level play, but Luna is often not banned all that much, really. And at the end of the day, he shuts down too many characters with dive. That bubble is fantastic to stay alive in key fight, you know, situations and managing those cooldowns. And flanking as him can be a game winner by himself. Flanking Namor is one of the scariest. So I've got him in S tier for both, with a kind of a on the edge of S tier for high elo with Luna, but the numbers and the footage and everything speaks for itself. One of the best. All right, so Peni Parker, once again, stats and just eyeball test is one of the best tanks at low elos because everybody's just playing with their brains turned off, right? Like they're just holding W, they're holding forward on the controller, and they're like, I'm gonna rank up, damn it, I don't care how many Spider-Mines I die by. And that's what we've seen. I think she's an S tier low elo pick, one of the best tanks. Especially, man, if you happen to get two tanks in low elo, ooh, it's a beauty with Peni Parker. Her ultimate, I think someone said it in my ultimate ranking guide a couple days ago, because I said it in my video. I fear a Peni outside of her ult more than I do within the ult. The ultimate sucks, that holds her back, but great in that. In high elo, I had her in C tier, but I had a lot of pros have her bumped up and players to B. We're gonna have her in B tier. A couple of reasons. First of all, triple vanguards played a lot, and she's able to protect your strategist and kind of like hold down one position really well. She doesn't need any attention because her webs heal her, and then she has a lot of CC, and her spider mines are like a trap to a lot of people trying to get rid of her. And then your other vanguards just kind of pick up as the strategist focus them. So that works out well. She's also good in niche situations. I think she's a solid hero right now. Lower B tier, but still fine. Next up, we've got Psylocke, and she is so close to greatness. Like, she's almost there, and we've seen the top of the top teams play her in situational maps, a lot of Midtown, Yggdrasil's path, Yggdrasil's path. Only thing is, the Dance of the Butterflies, ultimately, she has a lot of value if they have a Rocket comp or an Adam Warlock comp, and they don't, well, it depends on the Adam comp, but if they don't have 2 ults to keep the team alive, she could dominate with the Dance of the Butterflies, I believe is what the ultimate's called, which is nice, and it's good. It's countered pretty heavy by Loki and by a ton of different heroes, Bubbles and whatnot. However, everything else she does is still very good. She can put plenty of pressure on tanks, plenty of pressure on supports and snipers. She's great. I think she does everything well. She's A tier for both. She can carry. She's a good pick, a solid pick. Not top of the top, but close. All right. Okay, listen, I heard the Rocky Raccoon Union was coming after me last tier list, and I understood. In fact, I think I even gave him like an S tier and a B tier. I don't want to hear back from you guys, all right? I'm going to bump him up. And this strictly comes from a lot of observation on my own games, playing them, conversations. Let's talk about it. First of all, his ultimate, most misunderstood ultimate in the game. It is such a momentum swing that it's worth the trade of not having a defensive ultimate. The 40% damage can destroy through strategist ultimates, which makes it great. Coordination with it is awesome. You can win team fights a ton often whenever you have this. You got to place it at the right time, but it is good. BRB device allows you to be more aggressive as flanks and as a team. Mistakes, aren't as bad. And his healing is consistent, fast, and a good amount. I struggled if I should put him at the very top of B or in A. I've got him all the way down at A, like the bottom of A, but I think he is an A tier hero for high elo. And that feels weird to say. Why, you might ask? Well, he was banned all the time, and on top of that, played a ton at the very top level consistently, and he still played a lot. He's a good hero. Obviously, low elo, Punisher, Bucky, they're on autopilot down there, and so it makes him great. I think he is so easy to kind of master his mobility and get just insane healing output out there for him. He's S tier and low elo, and that's crazy. We're talking about Rocket here, who's been like the meme of the rival community, but I've had enough. I think he's S and then low A, but you could make the argument for B. All right, Scarlet Witch, guys, listen. Wanda by herself took me a whole nother day to get this tier list out because I was struggling where to put her. It's a hero who I think is easy to dunk on at times, but it's a hero that I think deserves more respect. Now, obviously, low elo, the auto aim, and what she can handle. I think she's actually B tier, high B tier at that for what she does. Okay, I think she's good at low elo. High elo was the difficult choice for me. She got a buff. Has had a couple buffs now. Magneto is at his height. We saw a ton of the time people would start with Scarlet to open up with a Magneto sword because that team up is so good. I think that she's on the verge of greatness. I have her in D tier right now for high elo. I had her in C. I even had her... I only had her in C. But I think she's starting to take effect a little bit in what she can offer. She's not often seen in high elo that much, but she's getting there. She's getting there. I think she's a constant threat and can do a lot of nice things with flyers. There are just other people that do the job better still. But listen, if you've mastered Wanda, good on you. But she's not quite there. She's getting closer. Moving on, guys. Arachnophobia has gone up tremendously in this game. Andrew Garfield, Tobey Maguire, Tom Holland, you name it. Doesn't matter. Spider-Man right now is still doing pretty good. A little bit of a niche pick in high elo, but not really. Dive does its thing perfectly. If you are elite on Spider-Man, because the mechanics are high, this dude can solo carry. I saw this happen at top level of play. That doesn't matter. Even down in Diamond, Grandmaster, and above, you can continue to dominate with him as a hero. He's somewhat easy to deal with by one simple decision, and that's banning Venom and not giving him access to the symbiote team up, which makes him even better. And then he has a partner in crime, and so Venom and him are just a duo made in heaven. I've got him at low A tier, but I've seen enough of him that I think he deserves to be up there, especially in what the pros were picking to play, the comps they would use. And he is the dive that you want to play right now. People have really figured him out. I mean, people have perfected the ADHD, freaking insane, like, rollouts where they get to the other side of the map and pull somebody off before I can even blink and pick a character. Like, it's crazy stupid how good he is there. Low elo, I've got him in B tier. Even though he's hard to play, you get to snowball off what he does best more and more, because if you can isolate a duelist, the strategist, he is going to win every single time if you even just learn some of the simple mechanics. So B tier for low, but I wanted to add to high elo too. Diamond and Grandmaster is solely responsible for a lot of the push up here. He is banned in almost every... I don't know why people don't ban Venom. They ban him. They don't even want to deal with him most of the time. I feel like Wolverine is the ban every tank player. If it doesn't happen, they're like, you guys don't understand my struggles. And strategists, some duelists are like, get rid of Spider-Man. I don't want to see him. All right, so alongside Moon Knight, we had some heroes that at the very beginning of the season, it was like they were showing some promise and then not so much anymore. Squirrel is kind of in that area. I've got her in B tier for low, and I've got her in C tier for high elo. We're just not seeing as much as we did originally, mainly because the shield meta has gone down a bit, and how easy she is to deal with at times. There are maps and situations she's great, and she's a must select at times. Not a must, but a very good select. But ultimately, she reminds me of like Captain America tier, kind of like that. You just she's not enough compared to the other selections you could have, and what we're seeing out there in everything combined. Her ultimate's good. Her team up with Spider-Man's insane. The CC's awesome. But right now, it's just not the meta for her. And I think she might have some small adjustments coming her way. Vibes and violence, man. Star-Lord. Star-Lord is the second best, probably duelist in the game right now. He's right there. Maybe the third best, actually, is where I have him. His team up with Adam, his high pressure damage, his flank, his mobility, the jetpack boost was massive for him. What we see in pro play, low play, doesn't matter. This guy's good. Chris Pratt, I don't know if you play this game, you're probably just smiling ear to ear because I feel like Star-Lord offers everything you want as a very good duelist and the ultimate to cap it off, right? And people have to plan around you, which is such an important trait. So I've got him in S tier for high elo. Mechanically, he's going to go down to A tier, just a little bit in low elo, just consistently getting that build up and what he does. But he's one of the best heroes right now in the duelist department by a good amount. All right, so Storm, guys, this is a tough one because it's crazy. Storm fell from grace a little bit, and it's kind of sad to see. I still think she's probably top of the top in low elo. I've got her in S tier for low elo. I think she's able to, as a flyer, be enough of a nuisance, and her ultimate and the value that gains at low elo and her constant pressure, and most importantly, how good Thor is in low elo, but we're going to get to that. I think Storm is a great pick in there. She's gone down a bit from grace. She's an A tier in high elo. Not by much, but she is. It's just not as good as she was, especially the meta Hela and having to like play that head game all the time and avoid. Her ultimate's still great. Her damage per second is insane still. And she has a lot to offer. We see her a little bit of the time, but she's kind of map dependent and team comp dependent. And honestly, who you're going against ban-wise dependent, so that all kind of brings her down, but still a very good hero that you can consistently climb with. So Frank Castle, Punisher, we've had now, I think, a B tier. He's like the definition of like, just like the median line in Rivals this whole time. You know, click, hold button, get the most damage in the game. We've seen that time after time. Rocket Surgeons really made him way better as well. His ultimate can get a good amount of value, but he's easy to deal with a lot of the time in high elo, and so, you know, it doesn't matter how good you are at aiming. He's going to kind of always hover right here. I think they want that. I don't think they want Frank too good. The Punisher, though, in low elo, same thing. I've got him in B just because of mechanical skill, but he's so much more easy to get that value with because people don't know how to deal with the constant damage coming at them, and you don't have the flanks and whatnot to deal with them. All right, it's collaborative time. The Thing, where do we have him? One of the newest heroes in the game, and honestly is making a statement just like Invisible Woman. I've got him in S tier, easy for high, A tier for low. The reason I only have him lower in A is the best way to punish him is consistent damage, Punisher, but other heroes. And there's just not as much coordinated play in healing and other vanguards to support him. And so you constantly take a lot of heat and you feel like you're going to die a lot as him. But in high rank play, he does it all. He's a combo setup, right? So Groot, we've seen that all the time with his ultimate clobbering time in the tournaments, out of the tournaments. You can set up great team wipes with that. And he's a bully, man. He does Hulk's job better than Hulk does by a good amount. And he's nimble. He's easy to hop around, get that damage reduction going. And he's able to shut down so much of dive. The Thing has such a place right now in the game. It's awesome to see. He is S tier. I've got him probably towards the end of S tier. He could be top of A, but I think he deserves to be up here. One of the most picked tanks in the game right now, running as that 1B to kind of a main tank, if you will. It's kind of cool. We're starting to see that with all the roles that we have a main slot and then something like Mantis that is the B slot that complements it, but then together they're great and he's great. So much pressure in the face. Melee is hard to deal with at a high level, and the Thing's showing it. All right, so with Thor, guys, I'm fully convinced that if his ultimate has a combo setup, kind of like Thing or Groot, he would be like the best hero or the best Vanguard. Like, he's such a bully. He does so much. He's fun to play, a lot of damage. He is almost non-existent in top rank play right now compared to the other tanks you can pick. There's just no reason to pick him as that 1B at the moment because of the coordination. Even with Hela and what she can do with him, that could be a nuisance, but that stops towards the top of the Grandmaster probably. I love Thor. I want him to be good. I think he has a future ahead of him. It's just not the meta for him, and time and kit, actually. There's a lot working against him. S tier, though, all of that, throw it out the window. He's S tier in low elo. The biggest bully you can punish, you can kidnap. People don't know how to deal with him or how to avoid him. Thor is on maximum heat, and enjoy the run in low elo, especially if you plan on climbing up and really putting in the time. He's a menace. A menace, and I've stuck by this in low elo. And his survivability too, man. He can do kind of everything, and there's not a lot of ways to take care of him. Let's talk about Venom, the next tank. And Venom right now, I think, is such a great dive tank that they've continued to adjust him, and now he's making a lot of sense. His ultimate is a great combo setup, and his main mission is just easy to accomplish. It's B tier for low, A tier for high. You swing in. Yeah, you don't want to swing in. You dive in from a wall. You put your slows out, you do some nice damage, shield up, be annoyance, get the pressure, get the attention, swing out, rinse, repeat. Very hard to kill, good damage now to back it up, and is a constant nuisance that we've seen more and more get played at top level play. Combine him with Magneto, he's even harder to take down, which is insane, and he continues to be on the uptick. I've got him in A tier, very solid at the high elo. Because he's dive and the roll, you know, it's pretty brain off, so he's easy to play. That's why I've got him in B, even though he is dive and low elo. You don't want to solo tank as him, obviously, but when you do have him in the right team ups, and especially the right maps and team comps, the guy's insane. All right, Winter Soldier, we're not going to spend a lot of time here. The highlights end up just being Bucky Barnes' show. It's the again all over, the snowball, the kit to stop anti-dive, the consistent damage, the team up with Rocket, you name it, he's got it. The Kraken impact always makes an impact, and he's a very damn good hero at the moment. There's nothing he doesn't do well, and he stops other heroes from being great. He's important to the game, but he is going to get nerfed, I think, in some way, because I think he feels almost perfect, but every single match, if it wasn't Hela, it was Bucky. And it's almost always Bucky or Winter Soldier. He's just under... Like, he's banned all the time now, too. The dude's just a damn headache, man. I've gotten to the point, too, where, like, I'll load up a lobby and I just want to ban him. I know the game's going to be that much better when they don't have a chance to get this, like, Hail Mary snowball of a Kraken impact on a match they were supposed to lose. All right, Wolverine, we have S tier for high. Low elo is A tier. He's always going to have his role. Nobody does what he does. They tried to make that happen a little bit with Iron Fist. So he's always going to be there. He's more easy to deal with now because of Thing and Magneto and them having the presence of the Vanguard slot. But he's Wolverine. Logan's still kicking ass, taking names, and just getting a ton of damage, carry potential. Domination, he's even better. And he's able to shut down Groot, the best Vanguard in the game right now, too, so he can deal with that a lot. The dude's a menace. Low elo, a little bit worse. You don't see as much good tank play, or sometimes even two tanks, so his overall value goes down. But Wolverine's always going to have his spot unless they change that. All right, guys, I'm going to remove myself from the screen so that you guys can have this in one glorious image. This is the tier list to end season 1/1.5 and what we are seeing in Marvel Rivals. Now, the fun news is you can pretty much throw this out the window pretty soon, as season 2 is going to bound to change a lot with new heroes. Obviously, balance changes. They're going to address just about everything, and so this was a fun way to close out the season. Let me know down below, what did I get wrong? What did I get right? What do you agree with? Once again, guys, want to wish you luck on the last days of season 1, 1.5. Hopefully you enjoyed today's video. Again, subscribe if you haven't. Until the next one, happy rifling.